When a product is exported at a cheaper price than it will be in its native market, it is sometimes considered that the exporter is dumping the product in the importing country. China, as the world's largest developing economy, has been hit the most by the anti-dumping policies enacted by US and Europe. Since then, investigations into China have expanded at an exponential rate, making it the world's largest anti-dumping target. As a result, the anti-dumping regime impact on trade from the viewpoint of developing country exporters might be far greater than the viewpoint of developed country importers.
When a product is exported at a lower price than it is ordinarily charged in its native market, it is sometimes considered that the exporter is dumping the goods in the importing country. In order to understand the issues of dumping in China, it is necessary to understand what is anti-dumping. Anti-dumping is the legal framework the government utilizes to impose tariffs or import surcharges on items that have been declared to be dumped. The legal criteria are more exact, but the World Trade Organization anti-dumping agreement essentially permits states to take action against dumping when there is a genuine harm to the rival local industry. The European Community started the first AD probe concerning China export items in August 1979. Since then, investigations into China have grown tremendously, to the point that it is now the world's largest anti-dumping target. In the 1970s, there were just 2 inquiries involving Chinese export items. By the next decade, the country was averaging 9.4 cases each year. In the 1990s, the number of AD cases involving Chinese items increased to an annual average of 30.7 probes, with almost 100 investigations launched in the first 2 years of the new century. The latest anti-dumping case against China was on 21st December 2020. Australia has requested World Trade Order dispute discussion with China about anti-dumping and countervailing tariff imposed by China on Australian barley imports. Since 2001, a total of 9 countries have filed anti-dumping investigation against China as reported by WTO. The countries that reported China the most are India, United States, Australia, and Argentina. Based on 2000 to 2001 report by WTO, India launched 51 investigations in the second semester of 2001 compared to 21 in the second semester of 2000. The products that are commonly accused being exported by China in cheap prices are steels and silica fabric. The International Trade Association decided in January 2017 that the anti-dumping duty levied on silica fabric products from China the previous year would stay in force. Based on the investigation by the Department of Commerce and the International Trade Commission that revealed the silica products from China were exported less than fair value in the United States. The ITA decision was based on the notion that there was a high possibility that dumping will occur again if the tariffs was repealed.
For the disadvantageous part, dumping causes the erosion and in some cases the disappearance of industry in market that is appear for a reason unrelated to the relative competitiveness of those industries. To put that in perspective, dumping allowed less efficient company to succeed in international competition over more efficient company. Here are some reasons for this factor. There are 3 points that I have listed in this assignment. There is capacity utilization, investment deterrent, and lastly, it takes a years to resell. The fact that unrestricted dumping can lead to a shift in competitive advantage over time has a ramification beyond the enterprise directly affected. It also unlikely that any multilateral regime attempting to enforce it through prohibition or national anti-dumping measure could maintain a political agreement.
Anti-dumping duty may be defined as protectionist tax imposed on foreign import by a national government which they consider as a price below fair market value. Dumping process occurs when certain companies or organizations export their own goods or product or services much below the cost typically targeted charged to their home or domestic market. Some nation or country place tax on their product in order to defend their markets as they feel their product is their domestic market. Therefore, the anti-dumping aim to restrict domestic work also lead to higher domestic consumer costs. Several countries or nations also using the export subsidization to other countries. Export subsidies under World Trade Organization or WTO agreement are recognized as an unfair practice. and can be implemented by a tax or compensation duty. This agreement does two things, which is it can discipline subsidies and restrict some country or nation behavior since it can be used combating the impact the subsidies. The agreement have a meaning of subsidies and terms of specialized subsidies. Subsidy only accessible in a country or a state for a certain sector, companies, group of company or individual itself. Discipline provided open for the agreement can be applied to a specific subsidies. It might be a subsidy for a home purpose or for the export. The agreement of subsidy might two main categories, which is prohibited and actionable. This agreement does not simplify, include non-actual subsidies in the third category. This category had been in force for a 5 year and it was not updated in 31 December 1999.
Prohibited subsidies encourage participants to reach particular export objective or to be used instead of imported items for domestic products or items. If the court procedure reveals that subsidies are banned, they must be immediately withdrawn. If not, countermeasures can be taken from the complaining countries. Next, actionable subsidies. China must justify that the subsidy affects its interests negatively. Subsidies of one country in an importing country can affect domestic industries. Therefore, if the two compete on third markets, they may affect competitor exporter from another country.
As the conclusion, the first anti-dumping test in China export product has been launched in August 1979 by European Community. This dumping issue has given a lot of problem and negative effect. Dumping in China has caused erosion and disappearance of the industry in the market. It also allows inefficient company to succeed rather than efficient company. The negative effect are capacity utilization, investment deterrent. Meanwhile, dumping also pricey and take a long time. The solution that have been proposed by World Trade Organization is prohibited subsidies and actionable subsidies. If the dumping issue is not handled properly, it may cause the imbalance in economy of the country evolve. So, anti-dumping agreement is seen as an effective way to protect the right of the both parties so that the dumping issue will not occur and give effect to their economy.